Rural Britain is in uproar, and it's all because of Labour's controversial manifesto pledge to ban trail hunting. For many in the countryside, this isn't just a political manoeuvre, it's a direct attack on their way of life. The Boxing Day hunts, a centuries-old tradition, have become a flashpoint for a cultural clash between rural communities and the urban-centric policies of Labour under Keir Starmer. Emotions are running high, and we've got an explosive clip of rural pensioners who feel utterly betrayed by the party they once trusted.
Devon, you're looking absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, lovely day. Seeing all, it's a beautiful village and a lovely setting for a hunt, and I can't wait to see all the horses in the red jackets.
You come from Oxted.
I do.
Yeah. Why did you want to come here then?
Well, I just think getting out and about on at Christmas, out in the nice fresh air, seeing friends and having fun.
Tony, come over here and join us if you would. How long have you been coming to this particular hunt?
Probably about a dozen years.
And why is that? Why is this such an important hunt for you?
Because my late grandfather used to ride, and my late mother, although she didn't ride, she always used to like attending a Boxing Day meet. So it's a family tradition I sort of would like to continue, really, if I can.
Speak, if you can, to the townies, up and down the country that perhaps don't get what these events are all about, how important they are, and look upon them as a sort of an outdated tradition, perhaps, certainly as they were, a bit cruel. What would you say to them?
Well, I think since the ban on actually chasing foxes with trail hunts and things like that, I don't actually think that it is cruel. It is a way to exercise horses and hounds, and it is just a fabulous spectacle.
And, I mean, what would you say to those in sort of bigger towns and cities, Devon, that probably the last thing they'd ever think of doing on Boxing Day is coming down here? I mean, how much fun is it?
Oh, yes, no, I really encourage people to come. It's great fun. Very nice community feeling, and seeing friends and having a drink and watching all the colour and the horses. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the new Labour government, of course, has promised more restrictions on trail hunting. How concerned would you be if this sport that so many people enjoy was the subject of further laws and restrictions?
I think it would be a retrograde step if they were to do that, but there's no telling what Starmer and his government are likely to do, because they may be feeling that they're throwing some red meat to their town-based supporters.
Do you think the countryside feels a little bit abandoned under Labour?
Oh, definitely, when it comes to fox hunting.
Well, listen, you two...
And there you have it, raw, unfiltered frustration from people who feel abandoned by a political class that seems to care more about urban voters than the countryside. For these communities, the Boxing Day hunts are about much more than the spectacle. They're a social cornerstone, a source of economic vitality, and, most importantly, a deeply ingrained tradition that many see as part of their heritage. Devon, a hunt supporter, voiced a sentiment echoed by many. Oh, definitely, we feel abandoned. Labour doesn't care about the countryside, they're just throwing red meat to their townie supporters. Tony, another supporter, was even more scathing, accusing Labour of sacrificing rural livelihoods to win favour with urban voters. It's betrayal, plain and simple. They don't understand us, and they don't want to. The controversy comes as Labour's leadership continues to paint trail hunting as an outdated and cruel practice, pledging to ban it outright if they win the next general election. But for rural communities, this pledge is seen as an attack on their very identity. Trail hunting, they argue, has already evolved to meet modern standards. The practice involves laying artificial trails for hounds to follow, with strict regulations in place to ensure no live animals are harmed. Critics of Labour's stance have pointed out that the ban is more about political posturing than practicality. By taking aim at a practice that's already heavily regulated, they accuse Labour of pandering to urban voters who are unfamiliar with rural life. And the economic implications of the ban are hard to ignore. The Boxing Day hunts draw significant tourism to rural areas, providing a much-needed boost to local businesses that are already struggling in a tough economy. This sense of abandonment isn't confined to trail hunting. Across the countryside, there's a growing feeling that Labour is out of touch with rural Britain. Policies that seem designed to appeal to urban constituencies are leaving the countryside behind, deepening the divide between town and country. At the same time, Labour is under fire for another scandal brewing in the background, the explosion of unelected bureaucratic bodies, or quangos, under their leadership. Since coming to power, Labour has established 25 new quangos in just 6 months, averaging one every week. These arm's-length bodies are being criticised as unnecessary and duplicative, creating additional layers of red tape that many fear will further stifle economic recovery. One of the most contentious quangos is the Solar Task Force, created under Ed Miliband to support Labour's ambitious clean energy goals. Critics argue that this new body merely duplicates the work of existing agencies, like the Jet Zero Council. Richard Holden, a former Conservative Party chairman, summed up the frustration. "It's a tale as old as time. Labour establishes a quango to duplicate work already underway in the public sector, and the outcome is all too predictable: more bureaucracy, more regulation, and higher taxes for working Brits." Jacob Rees-Mogg, never one to mince words, took the criticism further. "What we need is a great cull of quangos. Labour's obsession with unelected bodies is nothing short of a power grab. They want government done by their friends and away from prying eyes." The proliferation of quangos is also taking a toll on public trust. Many of these new bodies appear to have overlapping functions with existing ones, raising questions about their necessity. For instance, the Border Security Command closely mirrors the duties of the former Small Boats Operational Command. Likewise, the Regulatory Innovation Office seems to duplicate the work of the Regulatory Horizons Council. John O'Connell, CEO of the Taxpayers Alliance, warned of the long-term consequences. Taxpayers will wonder who actually governs Britain, given the proliferation of unelected, unaccountable quangos. This creeping bureaucratic sprawl has been compounded by Labour's penchant for commissioning reviews and consultations. In their first 5 months alone, Labour ministers initiated 67 reviews, a staggering number that critics argue only adds to the paralysis in decision-making. Amid these growing frustrations, Lady Judith McAlpine, a former Conservative donor, has penned a blistering op-ed accusing Labour of leading Britain into an abyss. Her words have gone viral, striking a chord with many who feel the country is losing its way under Starmer's leadership. "We are staring into an abyss that was once Great Britain. Labour's nanny state, with its obsession for overtaxation and overspending, is destroying the hard-working backbone of this country." McAlpine didn't stop there, lambasting Labour for prioritising illegal immigrants over pensioners and farmers. "We should refuse point-blank to pay exorbitant taxes that are being used to care for illegal immigrants while our pensioners struggle to survive." Her call to action was equally fiery, urging Britons to take a stand against what she described as Labour's destructive policies. "We should be blockading ports to prevent food imports so the fools can see that we can and should be self-sufficient." McAlpine's critique has resonated deeply, particularly in rural areas where Labour's policies are seen as emblematic of a government out of touch with the people it serves. Her fiery rhetoric has added fuel to an already raging fire, with many now questioning whether Labour's leadership is fit to govern. From the trail hunting controversy to the explosion of quangos and the broader sense of cultural and economic disconnection, Labour faces mounting challenges as it seeks to maintain its grip on power. Rural Britain, once a quiet backdrop to the political drama in Westminster, is now a battleground where the fight for the nation's soul is being waged. The question now is whether Labour can bridge the divide between town and country, or if the growing resentment will cost them dearly in the next election. As pensioners like those in our clip make clear, the countryside is done being ignored, and as Lady McAlpine warns, the clock is ticking for those who would underestimate the anger simmering across rural Britain.